Okay, so when we talk about differentiation, the first thing that we need to understand about differentiation is the concept of limit. Okay, there's this interesting concept which is the concept of limit. Okay, so this is what we really call higher level mathematics lah. Kita mau masuk ke dalam matematik yang pangkat tinggi sudah. So it's going to take all your attention and all your brain power to make sense of this lah. Okay, so let's say if I follow the example in this one, let's say I give you an equation an equation y equals to x squared plus 3x over x. Okay, now take a look at the table in page 31. Okay, so if I substitute different values of x, let's say I substitute x is negative 0.1, x is negative 0.01, x is negative 0.001, x is negative 0.0001. Okay, and or if I do the other side, kalau x adalah satu nombor positif, 0.001, 0.01, 0.0001, 0.1. Okay, I'm going to get different values of fx or y. Okay, so for example, if I substitute negative 0.1 here, okay, when x equals to negative 0.1, I get y equals to negative 0.1 squared plus 3 times negative 0.1 over negative 0.1. Ini perkara biasa lah, kita pernah lakukan. We just ganti masuk and then kita cari nilai y. Okay, so you will find that you will get this very strange number. So when x is negative 0.1, okay, fx or y equals to 2.9. When it's 0.01, it will be 2.99. And then when 0.001, it will be 2.999. Okay, you calculate, ini yang kamu akan dapat. But because we are doing PDPR, kan saya tidak masalah mau tunggu kamu calculate, okay, you just dengar dahulu apa saya cakap. So this is 2.999. Kalau dia 0.001, it will be 3.0001. And it will be the same, 3.001, 3.01, and then 3.1. Okay. Now, I want you to look at the pattern of this number. Okay. Kita dapati bahawa X ini makin lama kan dia menuju ke nombor kosong. It's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller, and it looks like it's going to reach 0. Begitu juga dengan nombor yang start dengan 0.1, and then it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it seems to be going nearer and nearer to the value of 0. Okay, and we see what happens in fx. We see what happens in the value of y. Ini nombor ni makin lama makin membesar. Ini nombor ni kan makin lama makin besar dan seolah-olah menuju menghampiri nombor 3. Okay, begitu juga dengan nombor ini. When this one is getting smaller and smaller, when it's nearing 0, we find that it is approaching the number 3. Okay. So based on this, so take a look at the pattern. I want you to look at the pattern of the numbers. Okay, we find that x, bila x itu menuju ke nombor 0, okay, fx itu akan menuju ke arah nombor 3. It's becoming nearer and nearer and nearer to number 3. Okay, so how do we write this in a mathematical, how do we write this dalam ayat matematik lah. Okay, so this is how I write. Okay, when x approaches 0, okay, bila x kan dia menghampiri 0, okay, we find that the limit for fx, okay, approaches, bukan approaches, sorry. The limit for fx is 3. Begini kita tulis. Bila x kan dia makin dekat kepada kosong, kita dapati bahawa nombor itu akan lebih dekat, makin lama makin dekat kepada 3. Okay, and how do we write this dalam bahasa matematik? Okay, take a look. So the limit, okay, for fx when x approaches 0. Okay, bila x menghampiri kosong, the limit for fx equals to 3. atau the limit, okay, for apa kita punya equation tadi? X squared plus 3x over x. X squared plus 3x over x when x approaches 0 is equals to 3. Okay, this is how I would write this. And this concept of limit is the first thing that you need to understand before we even talk about differentiation. Okay, sebab ini adalah asas kepada differentiation. We always talk about a certain limit when a certain number approaches a certain number. Okay, a limit, okay, satu had when a number reaches a certain number. So apa yang boleh berubah? Yang boleh berubah adalah nombor ini dan nombor ini. Okay, so how do I find a shorter way? How do I find a shorter way to sorry, to do this lah? Okay, to find the limit. Okay, so let me give you another example. Okay? Yeah, let's say my equation is 3x plus 2 lah. Contoh lah. Okay, let's say my equation is 3x plus 2. And I said, okay, tell me what is the limit of 3x plus 2 when x is approaching 2. Contohnya. Okay, so what do you do? The best way to find the limit is you substitute the value of 2 into x. Okay, so it will be 3 times 2, okay, plus 2. So the limit is 8. Means semakin lama x mendekati nombor 2, the 3x plus 2 akan mendekati nombor 8. That's what it basically means. Okay, but if everything that I have said before this like totally doesn't make sense to you, okay, and kita hanya mau fikir dari segi, okay, apa langkah saya kena ambil? Okay, so untuk soalan limit, kalau dia bagi satu nombor di sini, kamu ganti saja masuk di dalam. Okay, dan jawapan akhirnya itulah dia punya limit. Okay, does it make sense? Okay, let's try this. Let's say I give you another equation. Fx equals to x plus 2 over 2x. Okay, and I want you to tell me the limit of x plus 2 over 2x when x approaches 2. Okay, so what do we do? Anybody?
Limit dia 1.
How do you know? What do we do?
Sub masuk.
Okay, we sub in the 2 into the x. Okay, so you get 2 plus 2 equals to 2 times 2, which is
2 plus 2 is 4.
sorry, which is 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, so dia punya limit adalah 1. Okay, so it's as simple as that lah. Actually, it's as simple as that. Cuma dia punya fahaman limit itu yang harus kita fahami, because then tomorrow's class we will talk a little bit more about this lah. Okay, but for today, the most important thing is kamu tahu macam mana mau cari limit. Okay, cuma, okay, and this is where the problem is. Okay, let me use the same equation that I used just now. Fx equals to x plus 2 over 2x. Now sekarang saya mau tukar dia punya limit. I want you to tell me what is the limit of x plus 2 over 2x when x is approaching 0. Okay, cuba kau kira.
Zero.
Wait.
Math error lah.
I want to ask who got the 0. How do you get 0? Okay, so this is a big problem for us. Okay, so this is a big problem for us. Sometimes when you calculate, so the first step yang saya cakap tadi kan, the first thing we do is we just substitute the number inside. Okay, so kalau kita ikut cara itu, kita akan dapat 0 plus 2 over 2 times 0. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very big problem. Okay, 2 over 0, ini adalah problem. Okay, because nothing can divide by 0. Okay, tiada satu benda pun yang boleh bahagi dengan kosong. Because when you divide anything by 0, you will get a math error. So this is a big problem for us now. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Okay, so what we can do, sorry, I need to think about what we can do first. Hold on. Okay, so there are two things to think about lah. Okay, when the limit is 0 over 0, especially inilah, kalau dia adalah bahagi dengan kosong, okay, you need to do two things. Number one, either you factorize, okay, or number two, you rationalize the denominator. Okay, the denominator or the numerator. Kamu kena rationalize the upstairs or the downstairs. You have to somehow change the equation so that you will not get over 0. Okay? This is the thing that we want to talk about. So the first step is very simple. Okay, kalau boleh, okay, kamu ganti jap masuk, dan kalau kau dapat nilai, you get that nilai. So very good, bravo. Okay, no problem. But the problem comes when you have to divide by 0. That's a very big problem because we cannot divide by 0. We cannot divide by 0, and yet now we have to find the limit. Tiada jawapan math error. There's no such jawapan as math error. Okay, there is always an answer for everything. Okay, so we will have to figure out something lah. Okay, we will have to figure something out. Okay, so I want you to look at example 1 in page 32. Okay, in page 32, I want you to look at example 1. Okay, let me see if I can explain this example properly. So, the question A, limit of 3 minus square root of x over x plus 2 when x is approaching 4. Ini boleh. Kamu substitute saja terus, x equals to 4, and then you count, you get the number 1 over 6 lah. So ini no problem lah, sebab tinggal kamu mengganti sahaja. Is that okay, everyone? Can? Okay?
Can, sir.
Okay. So now the problem is question B. Okay, so the equation now is x squared minus 1 over x minus 1, but the limit is approaching 0, and approaching 1. Kalau saya ganti 1 ke dalam sini, okay, if I substitute 1 over here and 1 over here, I will have this big problem. So 1 minus 1 will be 0, and I cannot have a divide over 0. So what can we do? We take a look at up here. And kalau kamu ingat from your form 3 and form 4 days, okay, x squared minus 1, actually you can factorize to become x plus 1 and x minus 1. Okay, the factorization of this. So, I can change this to become the limit of x plus 1 and x minus 1 over x minus 1 when my x is approaching 1. Dan kita dapati bahawa kedua-dua ini kita boleh potong. So essentially, what you're finding is the limit of x plus 1 saja when x is approaching 1. So bila kau sudah cut bahkan when you have already yet the x minus 1, you're left with x plus 1. Okay, so then this one kamu boleh direct substitution. Substitute directly. So you get 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Okay, so the point is this lah. Whenever you find an equation and you have to substitute a limit okay, and you find that, oh okay, kalau saya substitute limit tapi di bawah adalah sama dengan kosong, tidak boleh. Okay, so that means kamu kena ubah the equation. One of the ways to ubah is by factorization, which is this example lah. Okay, that's one of the ways to ubah. And lepas kamu buat factorization, biasanya kamu boleh potong-potong and then you are left with something much simpler di mana kamu boleh buat direct substitution. Memang langkah akhir itu kan, kamu kena direct substitution jugalah. Cuma, kalau kau direct substitution and then ia per zero kan, you have to change the equation. Okay, so that it doesn't have a per zero di bawah. So one of the ways is by factorization. Okay? Now, example C is an example that uses rationalization. Ini adalah something that we learned last year when we were doing cert. Okay, and I don't know how many of you remember this, but let's try that. So the equation is x plus 1 minus x over x. Okay, and this is the limit of x to approaching 0. So obviously the big red flag is over here lah. Kalau sini kosong masuk di sini, kita akan dapat math error. So we don't want that. So what do? We rationalize it. How do we rationalize it? Oh, I don't know if you remember this. Okay, but we learned this in cert last year. Okay, how do we rationalize this? We have to multiply with the atas atau bawah, bergantung kepada keadaan. Okay, but we have to change the symbol. So kalau di sini adalah minus x, our rationalization will be square root x plus 1 plus x, and over here will be square root x plus 1 plus x. Sorry, oh, sorry, saya salin salah pula. Ish. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Sorry. 1. Okay. So this is something we learned last year when we were doing cert. Okay, I don't know how many of you remember this. Okay, but this is the time to remember it after so long. Okay, so what happens is when you multiply, okay, so kita settle di atas dulu lah. Square root x plus 1 minus 1. Okay, and then square root x plus 1 plus 1. Okay, ini dan ini darabkan, dia akan jadi x plus 1 sahajalah. Okay, because square root times square root, you just get this one. And then, because there is a minus and plus, because there's a minus and plus, terus orang yang tidak datang kelas tahun lepas kan semua menyesal, saat lupa sudah ni benda. Ini sama ini kan, bila kamu darab, dia tambah 1 tolak 1 kan, dia akan hapus. Okay, so you are finally getting only the minus 1 times plus 1. So you get minus 1. Okay, over. Okay, and this is the big problem lah. You get x times x plus 1 plus x. Okay, actually you can even leave it down there like if you want, but that doesn't matter lah. Okay, so let me simplify this. This will be x, and then after that, square root of x plus 1 plus 1. Okay, turn off the mic, please. Limit of x minus 0. This one can get changed. So you get 1 over square root of x plus 1 plus 1. Okay, so when you get the limit of 0, when x equals to 0, you get 1 over square root of 0 plus 1 plus 1. And you finally get the answer 1 over 2. Okay, since we have got some time, you know what? Let's do a few questions lah. Okay. Can you do page 33? Okay. I just want you to try question number 1A, number 2D. Okay. Number 2D and number 3. Oh dear, this is not good for health, but let's try lah. 3A. Okay, just try these questions first. Okay, remember, if you cannot rationalize, you factorize. If you cannot factorize, then you substitute. Sorry, if you cannot directly substitute, then you factorize. If you cannot factorize, then you directly, then you rationalize. What is wrong with me today? Okay, all right. So give it a try. I'll maybe give you about maybe 10 to 15 minutes to think about this. And then after that, Garrett, be ready. I'm going to call you in, because I haven't called you today yet. Okay, just give it a try first. Okay. Okay. Boleh kah?
Cannot.
Which one you
Tuhan.
cannot?
All.
All. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try the first one first. Okay, the first one is actually the easiest one. Okay, can you suggest what to do? What should I do with the first one?
Substitute 0, sir.
Okay, so the first one we do is direct substitution. Okay, so 0 squared plus 0 minus 3. Okay, so this will give us negative 3. So the first one is the easiest. Okay, because there's no divide by 0. Our problem is always when it is divide by 0. So if there's no divide by 0, substitute in sajalah, no matter what the value of x is. Okay, now question B is a little bit tough, but we can try. Obviously, we cannot put the 6 over here, because when we put the 6 over here, 6 squared will be 36. You get 36 minus 36, which will be 0. which I don't want. Saya tidak mahu di bawah adalah sama dengan kosong. So what should I do about this one? What should I do?
Factorize di bawah punya.
Factorize di bawah punya. So I'll get x minus 6 on top. Di bawah saya factorize, saya akan dapat
X minus 6, X plus 6.
okay, usually it's x minus 6 and x plus 6. Okay, then after that we can potong, we will get 1 over x plus 6. Yeah, 1 over x plus 6. Okay, so, sorry limit x equals to 0, limit x approaching 0. Ya, ini kau kena tulis ni, balik-balik kau kena tulis. So the limit of x approaching 0, oh sorry, sudah kau ganti. 1 over, 6 sorry. 1 over 6 plus 6, which will give you 1 over 12. Okay, so that's the third one now, the second one. Okay, all right, let's do this one. So now when you approach 0, when x is 0, here will be 0, here will be 0, sorry, here will be 0, and then here also 0, which cannot lah, because then you will get down there 0. Okay, so tak boleh. So what do you think we can do first? Anybody?
Kasih keluar the X. 1X.
Okay, very good. Kasih keluar 1x di atas dan 1x di bawah. So, I'll get x, and then atas saya akan dapat apa? Kalau saya keluarkan x daripada yang atas,
X minus 2.
Minus 2.
okay, you get x minus 2. Okay, now at the bottom, I do the same thing. I keluarkan x. Okay, and what will I get left?
X squared minus 4.
X squared minus 4. Okay, then of course this x you can potong-potong lah, which makes our job much easier. But the problem is still this, I cannot do this, x minus 2 over x squared minus 4. Kalau saya ganti 0 di sini, oh saya boleh sudah kan? Can I?
Ya, boleh.
X is 0 bahkan. Yeah. Oh, actually I can. Because I won't get a divide by 0. So, go ahead. 0 minus 2 over 0 squared minus 4. So, you get 1 over 2. Yeah, 1 over 2. Okay. So, sometimes, even though the equation maybe ada per bahkan. And then, sometimes you can substitute in and it won't give you a per 0. Itu yang penting. Asalkan dia punya jawapan di bawah bukan bahagi kosong. Is it okay kalau di atas adalah kosong? No problem. Tapi di bawah yang tidak boleh sama dengan kosong. So when the bawah is sama dengan kosong, then you need to change lah. So in this case, they factorized it. Okay? Alright. Let's do one more lah. I feel that we should do one with a conjugation, because nanti sure ada banyak persoalan ni. Oh, asal how to do conjugation? One die. Don't die yet lah. Okay, let's do 2g. Okay, 2g. So the limit of x approaching 4 or x minus 4 square root of x minus 2. Okay, so this one maybe a good tip lah is kalau kamu nampak cert ini kan, most likely dia akan melibatkan conjugation. Okay, kalau kau nampak cert ni, most likely dia akan melibatkan conjugation. So our problem is still the same. I cannot substitute 4 inside here sebab square root of 4 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So di bawah tidak boleh sama dengan kosong. Big problem. Okay, so what do? We have to rationalize. So we rationalize by taking the bottom, okay, and then we kasih rationalize it. So limit of x to 4, x minus 4 over square root of x minus 2. Okay, and then what do we multiply it with? Anybody?
Square root x plus 2.
Square root x plus 2. Okay, square root x plus 2. Okay. Now, notice selagi saya belum menggantikan nilai x itu kan, ini benda Saya tetap tulis sampai ke jannah. Okay, sampai saya menggantikan kan, itu benda saya akan bawa saja ke bawah. Okay, just notice that lah. Alright, so let's continue. So di bawah dia akan senang settle, dia akan jadi x minus 4. Okay, saya tidak mau buang masa. This is something we covered last year. I hope that you can quickly settle this lah. Tapi di atas yang menjadi masalah. So, x times square root of x. Okay, ini darab ini, ini darab ini. Plus 2x minus 4 square root of x. Okay, minus 8. This is still a problem though. Don't you think so? Hold on now, let me see. Yeah. Unless I solved the question correctly. This is still a problem for us. How? Can you see what's the problem? So actually, okay. So sorry I apologize lah. Actually kan, yang ini tidak payah kacau pun. Because dia akan terpotong dengan yang di bawah sendiri. Right? Notice that this and this are the exact same thing. So I will get square root of 4 plus 2, which will give me 2 plus 2 is 4. Self-exercise 2.1, okay, on page 33, question 1 to 3. All. Okay, and formative exercise 2.1, page 37. Question 2 and 3 all.